What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we have something very special in store for you guys. We have a brand spanking new CAMARO ZL1 1LE, that is. Now this is top of the food chain, guys, when it comes to Camaros, and I consider this an honor and a privilege to be able to work on such a beautiful machine right here. Now in today's video, guys, we're gonna have a full detail process, but more specifically with today's video I want to target basically the chemical and mechanical decontamination phase and why it's important to do that even on a brand new vehicle. This one in here in particular has, I believe, less than 400 miles on the owner has told me. So on this vehicle right here being white, when we do the chemical decontamination process, you can actually see physically firsthand the iron particles in the paint that are basically being broken down and eaten up by it's a pH neutral chemical that we're using here to basically eat up that iron particles in the paint, and then we will move on to the mechanical decontamination phase. So we're mostly removing that iron particles with the chemical first, and then going over the paint with clay to basically make sure any bonded or contaminants on the paint itself are removed, and then it's safe to begin the paint correction process. Then we'll prep the surface and ceramic coating, but all that's here to come a little later on in the video. Now before we start this video full-blown, guys, if you guys happen to be in the Southern California or San Diego area more specifically and like to have your vehicle detailed by myself, I'd love to take care of you guys. I will put a link to my contact information in the description below, so be sure to check that out. But without further ado, guys, let's get started here on the detail job. Alright guys, making great progress on the beautiful CAMARO over here. As you guys just saw, we just finished the chemical decontamination process. Before we begin the mechanical decontamination process, I want to explain what was going on and why I was doing what I was doing, what was going on exactly with the whole process. Now, this is basically a brand spanking new car. It's got less than 400 miles on it. You can see, now it wasn't a ton of iron on all the paint. It's mostly on the top parts of it. That's typically where you're going to have it, is on the top parts, and on the back half of it on these performance cars, SUVs, a lot of cars out there, basically the back end of the car almost is like a vacuum where just air sucks to it and sticks to the back, and you have a lot of iron and just contaminants on the back half of the vehicles. Now when we chemically decontaminate the paint, you basically have this little iron particle in the paint, and you're seeing it dissolve as the chemical reacts to it and breaks it down. And as it breaks down, I take my my spot-free water, rinse everything down so everything is basically fully rinsed off the vehicle, and then I can continue with the full washing process and now mechanical decontamination process. Now, like I said, this was brand new car. You can see how much is on there. Imagine a car that's a couple years old that's never had this treatment done to, how much more is on there. So now that we have completed the chemical decontamination, we're going to move on to the mechanical. And for the mechanical, we have basically 3 different steps that we can use here. We have a clay towel, we have a clay mitt, and we have a synthetic clay disc. They're all synthetic clay right here. For this process right here, I will be using the clay mitt. You can see the difference between the two. This is a little bit more aggressive. This is a little bit, softer or not so rigid. And for a new car, I typically tend to lean more towards these and these. Even though this is perfectly fine, I feel like this is a little bit more aggressive than what I need for brand new paint. So I personally tend to opt for this or the clay towel. For today, I will be using the clay mitt. So with that being said, let's get claying. Alright guys, just about done with the decontamination process on the vehicle here. I wasn't going to talk about it, I didn't think we had it on the vehicle, but we actually do have some very tiny little specks of tar along the lower half of it here, and I want to talk to you guys about is using a tar remover to remove those specks. And basically what it's doing is the little specks is very similar to the chemical decontamination for the iron, but as the tar remover lands on these little tar specks, it basically breaks it down. It's very similar to the iron decontamination process with that, but it's turning more of like a tingy yellowish brown as it breaks it up. We're going to respray the panel down with soap, wash that panel again, rinse it off, and you should be good to go. But just double check your panel if you guys are doing this process to make sure it is removed. Make sure you guys fully remove the tar. Bring you guys in here, take a look at it, and we'll pull you guys in the shop and we'll get started on the rest of the detail. Alright guys, just got the Camaro here in the shop. Not all the way on the lift just yet, but it is getting there. Now Camaros, for whatever reason, they're very finicky how you lift them. And I've learned that over the last several Camaros I've worked on. There are not actual lift points where you lift it. There are kits that they are aftermarket that you can purchase that will mount in certain areas underneath the vehicle itself. On this one right here, it does not have that, unfortunately. So I've learned there's a specific little strategic way how I do it to lift it properly without damaging anything, especially these very nice lower rockers and side skirts and fender flares and things like that. I mean, not fender flares, you know what I mean though. But anyways, on this Camaro right here, this is a full exterior package that I offer. On this specific vehicle, we are doing a level 2 paint correction. We're gonna be ceramic coating the paint, ceramic coating all the glass, removing the wheels, ceramic coating the entire wheel itself, the calipers, as well as exhaust tips. Now, in this specific video right here, guys, I'm not gonna be showing you guys too much of the glamour shots of the polishing and paint correction. I'm gonna be more talking a little later on in the video about decontaminating vehicles, prepping them, new cars, why they need to be prepped, things along those lines. So I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later on in the video, but right now, guys, we're gonna start polishing on this car, get this thing looking really, really nice. And then of course, we'll roll those glamour shots at the end. So let's get to work. Alright guys, making really good progress here on the beautiful Camaro. We are now 100% complete with the paint correction process. Everything is looking really good. Now, before we begin the preparation and ceramic coating process on the Camaro, I want to bring you guys in here and show you what's going on with it. We have all this yellow tape throughout the whole vehicle. Reason for that being a couple reasons, but first one, if you look down here, it is a matte finish along those side skirts. And what I don't want to do, the tape is acting as basically two things. To protect it so when I'm polishing, unfortunately, before I could open the doors up to polish it, but when you're right here working on it, unfortunately you can't remove the splitter and polish up to the edge right here. So the tape is acting as a protection from the polisher. So when you're polishing using that small polisher in the section right here, it's not going to ding it or nick it or scratch it. And it's also protecting it because you don't want to shine this nice matte finish up. So that is the reason for the tape basically in a lot of the matte sections on the back half, the side skirts. If you look here on the front bumper, again we have the matte splitter, and this is actually a plastic splitter, so I want to protect it from the plastic as well, because if I was to get compound or polished in that plastic, it's very tough and challenging to get it out and to make it look proper again. So just basically taking some little precautions. Up here, if you look, we actually mask off the pillar, so when I'm polishing on this fender, I'm not potentially nicking or dinging the pillar right there, because it does come up to an edge right there. Just extra little things of details, protection. Over here on the mirror, again, matte finish, protecting those edges. Same thing on the wing back here, all the way around. Coming up here, guys, to the front bumper, this is the most time-consuming part of the vehicle. Takes quite a while, we'll say. But there's a lot of little details getting in here, up in here, and you're limited to what kind of polisher you can use. So basically, most of this work happens with a 1 and 2 inch polisher. So aside from this top part up here, you can get a 5 inch Roops polisher in here and get that section. So anyways guys, that is it. I'm gonna call it a night. I am exhausted, so I will be back tomorrow for the preparation, ceramic coating of the vehicle. We got the wheels to do, as well as all the glass, so that is to come. With that being said, guys, I'm signing off, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Alright guys, getting ready to do the ceramic coating here on the Camaro. Now, this specific vehicle right here it's not a daily driver, it's something that's more of a weekend type car for my clients, so they don't really need to go overboard with some crazy multi-layer coating or even a 3-year coating. Now what they've opted in for the package that we've chosen for this vehicle right here is the Miyabi coat by Kamikaze. This coating right here is good for two years of protection, give or take. Now the way that this vehicle is going to be kept and maintained, being a weekend car, garage, things along those lines, this 2-year coating is more than likely going to last 3-4 plus years, depending on how the vehicle gets kept and maintained. Again, this vehicle right here is going to definitely see excess of 2+ years of protection with the Miyabi coat. Now the windows here, the glass, the mirrors, things along those lines is going to be coated with the Kamikaze Intenso window coat. This coating right here will be going on the glass, on the windshield here, the side windows, and the mirrors. Now, the glass coating right here, specifically for the glass itself, the windshield, typically I say is about 1 season, depending on conditions. Are you driving in the rain, things like that. Again, with this car right here, probably 2 seasons we'll see out of it. The side windows will last even longer than that. And now lastly, guys, the wheels, we're getting it back up on the lift here, pulling the wheels off, and we'll be coating those with the Kamikaze Stance rim coat right here. Now this coating right here is typically good for 1 to 2 years. So again, it depends on how the vehicle is getting kept and maintained. This specific vehicle right here, they're probably going to be closer to that 2-year mark, maybe even more. decontamination, why is it so important? I'm gonna be having a full video coming out on this here in the near future, talking about basically all stages of the decontamination process. Now for this particular little segment of the video, I just want to kind of get to the chase real quick and talk about the last thing of why it's so important to decontaminate the paint, and that is to avoid pigtails. Now what are pigtails? Pigtails are basically a deeper uniform scratch in the paint where it looks like a little curlicue, like a little pigtail that goes around and around and around. And how that happens is if you did not decontaminate your paint fully, you have a little particle in there. You have your pad right here in your polisher. You're putting pressure down on the paint, you're polishing on it, and you come across this little particle right here. You pick up this particle, and now this particle is basically getting grinded down or grinded into the paint as you're polishing around on it until it either comes out of your pad where you're polishing, or you stop polishing and you pick it up. And you pick up your pad, your polisher, and you grab your towel and you're wiping it down. You're looking at the paint with your light and you're like, wow, it looks great. And then you're like, wait, what is this right here? And you have this little very uniform pigtail mark goes along and along and along. And basically one of two things cause that to happen is, one, you either did not fully decontaminate the paint, or two, possibly what could have happened if you're working outside or maybe in the shop here and something floated in, or a piece of dirt particle or something like that landed on the paint by the time you were polished on it. So what I like to do to help avoid that is, before I start polishing on a panel, I will wipe it down first to ensure there's basically clean, there's no dust particles or any kind of little pieces of dirt or something like that might have potentially landed on there from the time I washed and decontaminated and pulled in the shop. So wiping it down before you start polishing on it will help ensure that you do not create pigtails. So I hope that helps you guys out. I think it is time to roll the glamour shots on the beautiful Camaro.